there are real pressures on Europe and on the world that is reliant on Russian energy sources. And we will be there in the short term with whatever support we can.
Justin Trudeau, an empty barrel making the most noise. Hi, I'm Brian Lilley, political columnist with the Toronto Sun. When it comes to Justin Trudeau on the international stage, the idea that Canada is back is so 2015. That was what Justin Trudeau campaigned on, saying he would put Canada back on the international stage. And yet, since that time, he's done nothing but show us to be an empty vessel under his leadership, an empty drum, an empty barrel, making a lot of noise, but not actually delivering anything. And that's what it's been on his latest bunch of junkets, whether it was to the Summit of the Americas in Los Angeles, where he met with people like Gavin Newsom, the very unpopular governor of California, or where he moved on to the Commonwealth meetings in Kigali, Rwanda, talked all about the American decision from the Supreme Court on abortion, but wouldn't talk about issues here at home. Now he's off to Europe, where he was in Germany for the G7. Now he's off to Spain for NATO meetings. And yet, when it comes to issues that matter to our European allies, he is absent. Both the French President, Emmanuel Macron, and the Italian Prime Minister, Mario Draghi, have said that we need to have Canadian oil and gas as part of the solution. We need to have major oil and gas producers step up. And yet, when Justin Trudeau was asked about these very measures being implemented by his government, he talked instead of Canadian oil and gas, about the issues around getting clean energy out there.
But it's also made it much more urgent and much more led to many more actions, so that we accelerate that transition off of our reliance on oil and gas altogether as a world.
Moving away from fossil fuels. Russia is currently funding its war in Ukraine by selling oil and gas to Europe, which opposes the war in Ukraine. We could have been a player in this had we not spent years denigrating our own oil and gas industry. In the last 6 months, the Trudeau government has said we will increase our oil output by 300,000 barrels a day by the end of 2022. Europe imports 2.3 million barrels a day from Russia. That is hardly going to displace what we need to do to put Putin on his back foot. That is not going to deal with the inflationary pressures that, yes, in part, but not in whole, are brought about by the war Russia is waging in Ukraine. But Justin Trudeau has his green blinders on, and he doesn't want to do anything that will take away from that. So we've got a prime minister that won't help our European allies with what they need, a prime minister that won't help Canadian citizens by bringing down the cost of the most important element in our economy right now, oil and gas, and a prime minister that wants to keep pushing us away from something that should be beneficial to our economy, that would pay for so much of what we want to do in the world, but that he personally doesn't like. This is an ongoing problem that will only be resolved by one simple step: removing Justin Trudeau from office, because world events have not changed his point of view. World events that show that his goal of net zero isn't going to happen in the next couple of years, that it's going to take decades for this to happen. It hasn't changed his policy outlook. It hasn't changed his worldview. We need to change who is at the top. Let me know what you think. Drop a comment down below. Share this on social media. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel.